Speaking of memory loss is only one part of dementia, or can be one part of dementia. And so, just so we're all on the same page, dementia is a very generic label, and essentially it's any illness that produces serious and progressive, so means that over time it's getting worse, irreversible cognitive decline. And we'll talk about Alzheimer's disease, which is one form of dementia. But I wanted to talk about some of the more common symptoms that are experienced by individuals with dementia. Now, not every single person is experiencing these impairments or symptoms to the same degree or at the same time. There's quite a bit of variability. But like this little circle here says that dementia is eventually the loss of everything that you know. So for individuals who are further along in having their dementia symptoms, it is often the case that they're forgetting knowledge about their own life. So semantic knowledge, remember, are the facts. So things about like your birthday or the fact that you have two children, these are facts. So eventually somebody with dementia may be experiencing this as a symptom. They also might be experiencing what they call the erosion of personhood. So it's idea of like I don't even know who I am. It's an identity issue. So if I don't know who I am and where I've been and my experiences, this is including the semantic information from your own life, then the person doesn't continue to be the same person that they once were. We often see impairments in executive functioning. I've used this term broadly since childhood and when we were talking about that. But executive functioning includes your working memory, attention, processing speed, all of those things. So these active thought processes, these are affected when one is experiencing dementia. Essentially, every aspect of thinking is eventually affected. So this could be all the things I've already talked about, but just labeling things, remembering names for things, abstract thought, which is in a totally different direction. And often what we see is that individuals may start to act inappropriately, act like they've never acted before. Part of that could be because of this erosion of personhood. They don't know, like this isn't something I would normally do, or this is outside of my character. But part of it is also because of having less inhibition, things like that. And eventually, when it becomes very advanced, then this is affecting their ability to even speak or move. So one of those, basic life skills is something that they can no longer carry out. Again, dementia is a basic label, and so we're going to talk about more specific causes of dementia, not just the label, but what are the underlying causes for these symptoms. So the first cause is the main cause of dementia cases, and that's Alzheimer's disease. I guarantee that every one of you has heard of Alzheimer's before because it is something that we talk about at least broadly. Probably for most of you, like you associate this just with memory loss. And that's not necessarily problematic because that is largely what's happening, but it also is associated with all of those other dementia symptoms as well, like the loss of personhood and the ability to or inability to eventually move and do those things as well. So Alzheimer's is most often associated with memory, but it's not only a memory issue. So this is the cause of dementia. So what's happening with Alzheimer's is that neurons are withering away. And you see in that picture, the slice of the brain right there, the healthy brain and how thick the tissue is. And you see it with side by side with an advanced Alzheimer's brain, which is withered away quite substantially. And essentially what's happening is that the neurons are withering away and they're replaced by proteins. So either these tangles or plaques, and we can see that in the picture on the right there, that there are those plaques and which is going to affect how neurons are communicating with one another. And although it's kind of hard to see, you see tangles in the neurons themselves. Again, these are proteins, and it's not that you have to know all of the biological reasons why this is affecting, the quality of one's life. But it's leading to cortical decay, again, as seen on the brain on the left there. Early diagnosis can help. There are medications that exist today that can lessen the effects of how quickly Alzheimer's disease is affecting the body and the brain. It's not to say that it can stop Alzheimer's altogether, because it can't, right? There's a normal process that's taking place, but it can reduce some of those symptoms and lengthen the life of somebody who has Alzheimer's. There is a genetic link, and the estimates for how likely are you to get Alzheimer's if someone in your family has Alzheimer's are kind of mixed. Here, again, I don't need you to know this for specific percentage, but the data is showing that 15% of people in the US have 2 copies of a genetic marker, which is doubling the chances of getting Alzheimer's. But there still is much work to be done on this area to understand this genetic link. Nevertheless, about 5 million people in the US are currently struggling with Alzheimer's disease or have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And this is coming from the Alzheimer's Association directly from 2020 data. It is classified as the 6th leading cause of death. If you are interested in it, there's some interesting facts on the Alzheimer's Association website, about how common that actually makes it. So combining different forms of cancer, and this is still something that is more likely to lead to death. So for those of you who know somebody who is struggling with Alzheimer's or who has struggled with Alzheimer's, it's something that is hard for a lot of families to kind of handle and work with, because again, it's not something that you can you can't make it go better, right? It just doesn't get better. But at the same time, like it's a long drawn out disease for many individuals, and so that slow decline can be really hard for many different family members. Another cause of dementia is called vascular dementia, and essentially what's happening here is that there's been some kind of issue with the vascular system in the brain, which has led to these dementia symptoms, okay? So this vascular dementia isn't also a general term, but it is a cause of dementia. So this is again caused by brain damage from impaired blood flow. This could come from a stroke, but strokes aren't the only causes of vascular dementia. Essentially, what this is associated with are the same symptoms of dementia, but oftentimes we see specific problems with reasoning, planning, judgment, and memory, so all parts of executive functioning. And obviously, this can impair all areas of our life. So this is a different cause than Alzheimer's. They're both leading to similar issues, but the cause is different. So with vascular dementia, this is often caused by lifestyle factors. So we see things like diabetes and high blood pressure. Now, no, certainly there are genetic links to these two, just like there are genetic links to Alzheimer's. But some of these factors here, again, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, could be, and even heart disease and artery disease could be affected by, having a lifestyle that is complete with healthy eating and exercise that lowers some of the chances for these particular problems, and also ultimately affecting one's chance for a stroke. So this type of dementia is affecting, or is representing less of the overall total of dementia cases. Remember that just on the last slide, about 60 to 70% of dementia situations are caused by Alzheimer's. So when we talk about this kind of dementia, though, a heart healthy diet, we know that there's education involved, so people who are well educated are less likely to have this form of dementia. Regular exercise, these are environmental choices and decisions that could lessen the effects or chance of experiencing these dementia symptoms.